Welcome to an overview of features for EndNote X9. When you open your library for the first time, it will be blank. This is the EndNote program that allows you to look at EndNote libraries, much like a Word program allows you to look at Word documents. So to create a library, you'll go to File, New, and create a library. You can name it anything that you want. Note that it saves into your documents just like you would save a Word document. You need to save your library and know where it's saved. We're going to call this one Overview Library. And then the library opens. It's going to be empty because we haven't included anything in it yet. There are two ways to get references into your library. The first way is to create one manually. You go to References, New Reference, and it defaults to journal article because that's primarily the types of citations that you'll house in your library, but typically you can pull a journal article in a different way. This might be for something like a personal communication, like an email. So you would enter the information that you have. Save. And to save, you just close it and say yes, you do want to save. And then we have our EndNote library here. We have our citation here. You can add anything that you need to the reference. So we didn't include my sender email, so we'll go ahead and do that. And the recipients. Control-S to save and preview. There are no attached PDFs. We'll talk about PDFs in a moment. Okay, so that is how you manually create a reference. The other way that you can create a reference is to pull references in from the databases. So we go to library.utusca.edu. Choose our database. Today we'll look at CINAHL and PubMed, so we'll start with PubMed. And you do your search in PubMed. We're going to look very simply for hypertension. Say that we love this search. We want the first few articles. So you select the articles that you would like. And in this database, in PubMed, you click Send to Citation Manager. The interface will change in every database, but it's essentially the same thing. You have to ask the database to create information in a way that EndNote can read it. So we're downloading 5 citations. We're going to create the file. And we get this box that says Open with Research Soft Direct Export Helper. And that's exactly what we want. So we'll click OK. And I want to point out that all references are 6 because it includes our the reference that we created ourselves, and then we have our 5 imported references. At this point, I want to show you in your imported references, because it's typically going to be a smaller group, you can select all, and then you can find full text. So what we've done is we've allowed EndNote to connect behind our paywall and search in our resources to see what we have full text of and connect it to the citations in the library. Unfortunately, this isn't a very great example because we didn't find any of them. You can see over here, not found 4, found URL 1. Just because we didn't find the full text of these doesn't mean it doesn't exist. So in our resources, for a variety of reasons, it's not 100% accurate, so I'll show you again when we go into CINAHL and see what we get. So you would have to look these up individually and add the PDFs individually. So let's take a look at what that looks like. So we find the PDF of the article. And here we have our article downloaded. You can pull it out of your downloads And in EndNote, in the citation that you want to attach the PDF to, you scroll down until you see, under the abstract, the section for file attachments. So we'll go over here where we have in our downloads the PDF that we want to attach. We'll grab it, we'll go back to EndNote, and we'll put it into the file attachments. So in case you aren't able to find your full text through the find full text function, you can attach your files that way. You can preview your file here, you can print it, you can make notes, you can email it to somebody, you can save it, and that's how that works. So in case you can't use the find full text function, you'll have to manually attach it. And then whenever EndNote asks you to save, you just say yes, and that saves your work. So there we are. The little paperclip icon on the side here means that these two citations have full text PDF attached. Okay, so that's how you get a PDF into an EndNote citation manually. Okay, so then let's go ahead and look at CINAHL. The interface is going to be a little bit different in CINAHL. So we come to the library homepage, go down in the gray stack to databases to the flyout of our most commonly used databases. There's CINAHL. CINAHL is a great resource because it is nursing and allied health specific. We are going to uncheck the suggest subject terms box for the purposes of this demonstration. We're going to put in the word diabetes and hit search. And once we get the results of this beautiful search that we love, we are going to select a few citations that we want to use. So we'll just grab this one, this one, this one, this one. We'll just grab a few of these to make sure that we have a nice assortment to work with. Okay. So you'll notice in CINAHL, it of course is a different interface from PubMed. And when I have selected citations to move to my EndNote library, what happens is on the right-hand side, this temporary folder populates. So to move the citations from the temporary folder into our EndNote library, we're going to click Folder View. And we're going to click Export. And we have 10 citations that we're moving over, so we'll click Export. And here you'll see a default direct export in RIS format to EndNote. You can also download to CSV if you want to sort through Excel, or if you're using EndNote Web, you would select this one, or RefWorks is down here. So we'll remove the items from the folder after saving so that if we try and export more citations, we don't get them all mixed up together. And it's a little counterintuitive, but you click Save instead of Export. And again, we got the box asking what Firefox should do with the file. We want to open it. Okay, so now we have all 10 references here from CINAHL. You'll notice that our all references went to 16. Our imported references are at 10. The recently added are at 16. The recently added stay in there for I think a day or two, not long. But all your references are always in your all references bucket. So we'll go back to our imported references and we'll try the find full text feature one more time. Let's see what happens. And this time it's finding the PDFs. Typically my success rate is pretty good on this, so it's really a wonderful feature. Most other bibliographic management systems, you need to add the PDFs as you go individually, one by one, which can be a bit cumbersome. So this is a really nice value-added feature. Okay, and we have, it looks like 3 left to go, and you can see the little paperclip icons on the side lining up, which is always really satisfying. So that's great. One more left to search. Okay, so now that you've seen how to add references manually and how to pull references from the databases into your EndNote library, I'm going to show you how to organize these. So you'll mostly organize using My Groups. Best practices is to have one library with a lot of groups, because when you get your EndNote install key, the code that allows you to install it onto your computer, you can install it on up to 3 computers. So maybe you have a desktop at home, a laptop that you carry with you, and your work computer. So you could install it there. The way that they all sync together is through your My EndNote web account. And we can talk more about that feature later. That's a little bit more of an advanced feature. Okay, so in My Groups, there are 2 kinds of groups. There are manual groups, so we're going to right click and create group, and this is a manual group. We're going to call this one diabetes. So all of the citations that we pulled in with our diabetes search, we're going to pull over to diabetes. And these are your groups. This is your organizational tool. So it can be, you can spend a lot of time organizing it. It depends on how you want to use it and what you're using it for. So you have to experiment and find your best practice. So that's a manual group. You can put anything in there that you want. The other is a smart group. So you right click again on My Groups, click Create Smart Group. We're going to call this one Hypertension. And you can make these rules. It's like rules for your email or anything like that. You can make them as complicated as you want. For the purposes of this demonstration, we're going to choose any field contains the word hypertension. So if there's a particular author that you're interested in, or a set of concepts that you're interested in, and we'll get to the point where you have thousands of citations perhaps in your EndNote library, and you just want to sort of shuffle certain citations over for a specific type of review, that's when smart groups are very useful. So we'll click Create, and you'll notice that it populated on its own, and we have all 5 that we pulled over from PubMed are in there. Sometimes there's some crossover between diabetes and hypertension, but that didn't happen in this case. Okay, so we have gotten, we've created a library, we've gotten citations into our library, and then we've organized those citations. The next thing that I want to show you is, now that you have citations in your library and you want to write your paper, you have a sentence that needs a citation. When you install EndNote onto your computer, in the ribbon up at the top, you'll see EndNote X9, and I'm so sorry, Mac users, it will look slightly different in a Mac. Conceptually, it's the same. One word of caution for Mac users: make sure that you can view the EndNote toolbar. That's the biggest troubleshooting issue that people really have, is that for whatever reason they can't view the toolbar. Okay, so we're in the EndNote X9 tab on the ribbon. We go to Insert Citation. There's our diabetes, and we'll click on this one. Usually you know what you're citing, but for this and you see the reference appear. You also see the references populate at the end of the Word document. Okay, so let's try that again. You can also insert a citation without a year. So we've said in 2019 this thing happened. We're going to insert and display and exclude year. So there we go. And as we work in our paper, the reference list just automatically updates. So you can see that it's really value added. EndNote has a wide range of available styles. You can even create your own citation style. So whatever journal you are submitting to, if you're using APA 6, if you're using APA 7th, EndNote will be able to accommodate that. If you are working on a website that does not have an automatic export feature, EndNote has a plugin for your web browser that enables you to find what you're looking for. So, like, say that you're on clinicaltrials.gov and you're looking at opioid use disorder, and you find this great study that you want to cite, but there's no way for you to export it. So what you do is you use the EndNote reference add-in that you can see right up here, and it allows you, it asks you to log in using your EndNote web account. And typically you'll need to put some more information into the citation. So you would need to add in this case, you would need to add in the author and some other information about it. It thinks it's a journal article, so you would need to change it to a website, web page, and then enter any of the information that you needed. And you can just export it to EndNote like that and click Save To. And there we go. Okay. So in a nutshell, that is EndNote. Those are all the features that you'll primarily be interested in as you're getting to start working with EndNote. So we talked about creating your library, saving your library, manually bringing references into your library, exporting from a database, pulling information from a web page, syncing across your locally installed libraries. The other great thing about EndNote is that it has really wonderful tech support and a really robust online user community. So if you Google a question or a problem that you're having, odds are you'll find the solution. Also, I can't say enough great things about the experiences that I've had with their telephone customer support. When you call, you get an answer and you get help. At least that's been my experience. So thank you so much for your time and attention, sitting through all of these great features of EndNote. Please follow up with your librarian if you have any more questions.